is an incredible turnout. And I think just shows the momentum we've got to flip this seat and restore democracy and, gosh, functionality to the U.S. Congress. Thank you so much for being here and for all of your support. We call this Congressional District 6, but we all know this is Gabby's seat. She served the people of Southern Arizona from 2007 to 2012. She was so well loved and did so much. You were a real pioneer in Congress, from working on immigration reform and the border, to championing resources for the mentally ill, to being an early supporter of solar energy, science, and technology. You were a real path blazer on so many things. And this was just one of Gabby's starter careers. I really so proud and touched that you're here today. We have some work to do, but we can do it. So many of you, I know, supported me when I ran in the midterm elections, and I want to thank you so much for what you did. The phone calls, the knocking on doors, the postcards, the checks that you wrote for our campaign, as we came so incredibly close to winning. We missed winning by just a few thousand votes, 5,232, but who's counting, right? Who's counting? 1.4%. It was one of the closest congressional races in the country and one of the last to be called. That has created a foundation for 2024. We did that while being outspent over 6-1. And as very famously, we got the support of the National Democrats. We're on that coveted red to blue list. One of the actually we are the only congressional race in Arizona on that red to blue list of most flippable seats. Okay. But we cannot take a single vote for granted. 5,000 votes may not sound like a lot. I think last time it was out of 350,000. But we're going to have to fight for every single vote. This is a very evenly divided district. It's about a third Democrats, a third Independents, and a third Republicans. So we're going to have to fight for every vote from that young person who feels like their vote doesn't count. We're going to have to fight for the ranchers, the farmers, the veterans, the inner city dwellers, the folks who feel left out, our people of marginalized communities who feel overlooked. We're going to have to empower them and bring them into the fold and make sure they know we are speaking to them and we want to represent them. How are we going to close that gap? What are we going to do different this time? Here's my strategy. First of all, we got to lead with our values. We've got to contrast our values with those of my opponent, Ciscomani, and the GOP. We need to connect with the voters and marshal the resources to make sure we get the vote out. So let's start with those values. The values I want to champion, which I believe are your values as well, are the values of freedom. They're American values of freedom, of opportunity, of safety and security, and of good old-fashioned roll up our sleeves and let's get something done. And let's contrast that with the values I'm seeing of the Republicans, which I would say is control. It is tolerance, if not incitement, of political violence and total dysfunction and chaos. And there's no more quintessential issue that I think illustrates our value of freedom and their value of control than the issue of abortion access. Every person must have the freedom to make their own health care decisions, free of the grandstanding politicians who want to control their lives or Trump-appointed judges. This is a health care decision that should be up to the pregnant person, their doctor, and their family. As a woman, as a mom of a teenager, she's coming home tomorrow. So excited. This issue is very personal to me. It's personal to all of us, and we have to fight for it. It is incredible that the Arizona Supreme Court has taken us back to 1864, a criminal abortion ban, and a time when women didn't have the right to vote or even own property. It is outrageous, and we need to vote to overturn it. I am going to champion that, and there's no really starker issue between myself and Ciscomani than that issue of abortion access. Ciscomani cheered when Roe versus Wade was overturned. He supported leaving it to the states. He may be saying, oh no, I didn't mean this, but he's on record. He supported state law, whether it was the 1864 ban or the 15-week abortion ban, which doesn't even have exceptions for rape or incest. Since he's been in Congress, he has been voting for national abortion restrictions, from medication abortion to restrictions upon our military women. So just think about that. Women who are fighting, putting their lives on the line for our freedom, and we can't give them the freedom to make their own health care decisions. It's really outrageous. There are so many issues that we could put under the umbrella of safety and security that we all care about. And let's put prevention of gun violence in that safety and security umbrella, where we know that this will make our communities safer. We're not going after people's guns. We're going after safe communities. And just hats off to the Moms Demand Action, all the co-hosts and people who have been advocating up there in Congress, testifying, going in front of our state legislature. And this is an issue that we have made progress. You have made progress. That Bipartisan Safer Communities Act is incredible. Just last week, the Biden administration made some big progress in closing that gun show loop. And look, I'm a mom, and I haven't been through what so many of you have been through and what Gabby's been through. But I've been on the other end of the phone with a panicked child who is hiding under their desk in a classroom when there's a report of a gunman outside, and you don't want to be on the other end of that phone. We don't want to be afraid to go to the bowling alley or to the grocery store. We want to make sure that people are safe. Safe storage laws, closing those ridiculous loopholes, protecting people from suicide attempts that may be successful but not really well thought through, keeping assault weapons out of the hands of people who are not in the military. Military rifles for those who are engaged in war. And there's so many other things. You know that my profession as a teacher and as an environmental attorney. And I would also put under that umbrella of safety and security, securing our water future, protecting ourselves from climate change, which also is such a boon for our economy. These are all ways we can save and assure the security of our communities and of our economy here in the Southwest.